let's talk about the European elections at first up. Obviously, we've got those elections coming on May the 23rd. We've got two new parties standing in. Brexit Party, Change UK, of course, all the others, Labour, Tory, Lib Dem, Greens, UKIP, the SNP, everybody else is standing, Plaid Cymru and everyone else. They're all standing. Full list of candidates and names on our website at talkradio.co.uk. But this is the last thing that the Prime Minister wanted to actually happen. But is it for Eurosceptics of any party, is this a good thing to have the European elections for a chance for the public to let their views be known?
Well, I mean, we shouldn't have had these elections at a cost, as you say, of £150 million of taxpayers' money that probably could have been spent better elsewhere, because we should have left the European Union. It'll be, by the time we get to the elections, it'll be 1 month short of 3 years since we had the referendum. So, of course, we should have left by then. But why have we not left? Because what you might call the British establishment, and by that I include senior civil servants in Number 10 and the Cabinet Office. I include a number of members of Parliament in the House of Commons, like Yvette Cooper and Dominic Grieve and others. And I also include a number of people, not you, Julia, prominent in the media, all of whom have never accepted the results of the referendum and have been doing everything they possibly can for 3 years to frustrate Brexit, and the public now see that. So there was a YouGov poll just a few weeks ago in which 54% of respondents agreed with the proposition, do you think the British establishment have tried to frustrate Brexit? Over half the respondents agreed. So the one upside of the fact that we're having these elections is that on the 23rd of May, the British establishment, in all their cosseted, feather-bedded, oh so superior smugness, are going to get the shock of their bloody lives.
Do you think MPs actually got the message that this was considered to be unacceptable?
I think they did at the time, but it's sort of creeping back. The scale of the expenses, it seems to be rising. What I think happens, and I saw it in myself in my 4 years in the House of Commons, you develop a sense of entitlement. Yeah. Here you are, you've been elected by your constituents, you feel almost grand, you're waited on by liveried servants in 18th century uniform. People call you honourable, or in some cases right honourable. You might even start to believe it. And then you think you're entitled to live on a somewhat lavish scale. So just, I think the scandal helped keep them honest, to be quite up to a point anyway.
Well, up to a point. I mean, a lot of them were ousted, but we've seen ongoing. There are still issues with the expenses now, and MPs constantly complain about IPSA, the new Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority who oversee their expenses. What a nightmare it is, because apparently they have to produce receipts now. I mean, the outrage of having to produce a receipt for an expense and claiming it back from the public. But a lot of this has come down to the fact they say, look, the issue about second homes is, look, of course, if you're an MP in Glasgow, of course you need a home in Westminster, but there has been an issue over whether you're allowed to have a mortgage and make money, and we've seen MPs making a huge amount of money on properties they bought with a mortgage effectively paid for by the state, and now they're told they can only rent. So what they're doing is they're renting out to someone else the property they bought with a mortgage paid for by the state, making huge profit on that, and then they're using that money to pay their rent still on the state in Westminster. It has become even more of a muddle, hasn't it?
I honestly believe it has. It's the second homes business is the problem with it. And of course, you're in Glasgow, for matter in Tatton, I had a lovely little cottage. But what MPs were doing was claiming up to the limit of their allowances. I just claimed what I paid, and I submitted the copies of the lease and everything. But I do think it's tending to get a bit out of hand again, and they are making money at the taxpayers' expense, and that's unforgivable.
If you wonder why you're sitting in the waiting area waiting for half an hour or up an hour to see your GP, it's because each and every patient we're seeing is taking longer and longer. No, you're waiting because they don't organise their appointments well enough to understand that you need to actually allow enough time. I mean, a properly organised GP surgery doesn't have waiting because they can predict these things. Oh, no, that's not true. So, for example, if we wanted to go to 15-minute appointments in our practice, which we'd really love to do, because that would actually help with the stress, and it would help actually to recruit doctors if they felt that they could have longer appointments, we would need 1.5 times the number of doctors. Now, we don't
no, that's not. No. The point is that you look at an average of how long. Look, when I go to a doctor's appointment, I'm there. Here's the information. I try and do it if I can, just by email, because I know it's much quicker for the GP. Wherever I can be in and out in 3 minutes. Now I realise there's also a little bit of admin involved there. Often it's done while I'm in the room. But my appointments don't take 50 minutes, and that means there's an extra few minutes for the next person who does need longer.
Julia, I'm sorry, you haven't been trying to run a GP practice for the last 25 years, trying to provide high quality care for patients who are most of the people who attend are over 60 with complex long-term conditions. You cannot get them in and out in 3 minutes.
No, I didn't. Louise, I didn't. No, Louise, I didn't say that. I'm saying my point is not that a lot of people need extra care and you need longer appointments. My point is that patients are waiting because doctors don't organise their appointment system properly. As someone who used to do that in a GP surgery, I can assure you that it is possible.
Julia,
you just simply don't accept appointments for people if you can't fit them in.
I don't want to have an argument. I get what you're saying, but it's not true. If I spend 15, 20 minutes per patient, which even the young, healthy patients want, because they come with, say, 3 or 4 problems they want to discuss. If I spend that, I've spent 4 hours just seeing patients. Then that's just one morning. Yep. Then there's all the knock-on, the referrals, the results, the letters. All of these are patient care-related things. That will take me another hour or an hour and a half. And then I've got the equivalent in the afternoon. We're talking about 10 and 11-hour days.
It's from a report by Professor Guy Standing. He's a professor at SOAS University. And the idea is that every adult in the UK should receive a weekly basic income of £48. And that move could be paid for by scrapping more than 1,000 different tax reliefs. The idea is that a lot of people don't have enough money to live on. It would help reduce poverty and inequality by providing a guaranteed income. Let's talk to Dr. Guy Standing himself about this. Good morning to you, Guy.
Good morning to you. And I'd like to begin by saying that as a Remainer and somebody who's rather critical about the EU, I think it's essential that we have a second referendum. I said this in a speech.
Guy, if I was interested in your views on that, I'd have asked you as a guest on that. And the idea that an academic who's written a report about basic guaranteed income should be a Remainer who supports a second referendum won't come as a surprise to most listeners.
I don't know. I think
it probably won't come as a surprise. Shall we talk about what we've invited you on to talk about?
Well, absolutely.
Let's do that.
Excellent idea, and I hope you'll allow me to do so.
Yes.
And actually, you've got it wrong already. So I would like.
I'm reading the report on the BBC.
No, I don't care what you're doing. You should read the report. The report does not recommend that everybody receives £48 a week, and I'll take you on a bet that that's the case.
Okay,
right?
explain
I
it.
wrote it. So I know. So to say that that's what I'm recommending when you haven't clearly read the report...
No, of course I've not read the report. With all due respect, I wouldn't waste my time reading a report about a basic guaranteed income. I think it's ridiculous. Tell us what the report says rather than just arguing with me.
I think the way you conduct your interviews is
Guy,
ridiculous, if I may say
Guy,
so.
no.
So
Guy, I've invited you on to talk about your report. Would you like to talk about the report at any point, or would you like to just sit and tell us how clever you are for the next few minutes?
Yeah,
You've got 3 more minutes, love.
Thank you very much, love.
Okay, let's not bother anymore. Let's just not bother, because I think Guy's not. I mean, I'm sorry, but the report in which he's quoted quite clear. I'm just simply not prepared to bother with that interview anymore. Is it just me? I think my listeners deserve better than that at 12 minutes past 7 in the morning.